Welcome to this preview video of UFC 317 main card, going through my predictions for the fight and the results of each fight, going through the main card. So starting off with the start of the main card, Talbot versus Lima. Talbot coming off a loss, obviously a great prospect. Everyone thought he'd be the next, really touting him to going up for at least the title contender position. People even touted him to be beyond that. The fight against Barcelos over 3 rounds was a tough fight. Got taken down and struggled so much on the ground. Did well on the feet when he was there. You could see he was much better than Barcelos on the feet, but struggled on the ground, which then allowed Barcelos into it on the feet. So, when you're scared of a takedown, your defense in the stand-up against strikes has worsened. So he did do well in moments, but the fact that your ground game is that bad to just be taken down and beaten over 3 rounds easily is a tough one. And against better fighters, there's always going to be a problem. People have got your number now. They know what beats you. We don't need to stand up with you, and every top 10, top 15 guy is going to take you down to the ground, unless they're a pure striker, which then you're always going to come with a problem. You get into the top 15, you then fight someone who's not, is not going to take you down and get into top 10. There's always going to be at one point a problem, no matter how high you get if you don't have that ground game. I don't think he used the strike and discourage a takedown either, which was not great, which he definitely needed to do. And takedown defense was lacking. Started trying to chase the fight and then, caused Barcelos to have success on the feet when he's chasing the fight, which was clear. But on to this fight, Lima, his opponent in this fight, is very good. First fight in the UFC, big power in the punches, each one trying to knock out his opponent. Does go for some wild attacks, flying knees. I've put, he does go for a few flying knees, which barely ever come off, which leaves him very open. If someone's a good striker, fast hand, fast movement, can do something there. Does stay and wait, doesn't find a lot. He knows that one punch will get it done. So if kind of point I'm making here is that if Talbot manages to keep it going, just jabbing out, keeping the movement, I think he's faster. I think he's got faster striking. And if he just doesn't have the openings, then Lima's not going to have a look in, and he could win rounds that way. That is a key one. But do I feel like Talbot has got it with the combos, with the volume that he has over the one punch power of Lima and all the rest of it? I don't think so. I think Lima's got good head movement. I think he'll move out of the way of those strikes, the fast movement strikes, and he may get hit by some. He will fire back when he sees an opportunity. I think Talbot would use the reach advantage, but is fast enough to get shots off against Lima, and try to leg kick him to try and slow Lima down. But I do think Lima can catch Talbot, and when that comes in, what does he do? Which could be a problem. And this is the bigger point. Lima is better on the ground, clearly, I would suspect, against the two of them. And I think he may even take him down, sap the energy on the ground, and then make it force Talbot. Sort of like the last fight, he has to push for it, and then any striker gets opportunities once you start trying to push for it, push for a win. Bigger shots against higher volume, really, this fight. Big problem for Talbot, he can only win to stand up, and I think Lima has the opportunity to do both. Also, the power punch is on Lima's side, so I think if he does get an opportunity, Talbot may classy combos, get off the classy combos, but after that combo gets hit with one punch, he goes down. I think Lima does this. I think power, single punch power versus volume, wins in this fight, and the ability for Lima to switch it up is a key player in this fight. I think decision for Lima, which will get Talbot on a 2-fight losing streak from obviously his very hype, the massive hype in his previous fights before that. Royval versus Van next fight, Royval having a 4.5 inch reach advantage, big. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, big reach advantage for a small weight class, and that is the key. Percentage wise of your entire reach, that's quite a lot for that that division, and that I'm going to come back to that, but very tough to get past that side advantage in the UFC against someone who's high is he's at a high level. Royval's fought for the championship, Joshua Van coming in, and he's turning around fast. He likes the fast turnaround, but going up against Royval, surely I would think you want a bigger fight in camp than this. Look, he's trying to earn money. That is the key. That's the only reason you turn around that fast. You've been asked, you've been given an extra X amount, and you turn it around fast. I think you'd want a full fighting camp from Royval. Both going to stand up, which is key. Royval, I think, stand up and experience is good enough to allow him to make sure he's able to use the advantage in the reach to force Van to have to come in and try to go for something, big. Basically, I'd say he has to come in, try and rush in and get something on Royval. And it's not. I don't think it's going to work. 4.5 inches, too much against someone as experienced as Royval in the UFC. I think Royval gets the decision. I don't think he gets the finish. I think Royval, he last finished in 2020, got a finish in 2023. Van good enough to stay in the fight, I think. Active, got a good chin from what I can see. So don't think he gets a win. Also, 3 rounds doesn't help that. But I do think the reach advantage just sort of stalls Joshua Van and sort of makes it very uncomfortable for him to try and get anything off. On to the next fight, Dariush versus Moicano. Obviously, was meant to happen earlier in the year, but got called off. So, look, both the same age, both the same reach, literally mirror images on paper. Reach, height advantages. Dariush, a long time out, 2023 December, last fight. Hasn't won since 22 October. So that's the key one. You're looking at just under 3 years since you won a fight, and he's been out for one and a bit years since his last fight even. So a big difference. Lacking confidence, I think. Ring rust is part of it, but also losing your last fight and then having that extended period off doesn't help you at all. I think Moicano, even though he lost, will be confident. Went against Makhachev, rolled the dice, let's see what you got. And look, Makhachev's one of the best of all time, so look, you got to be thankful he stayed in there for a period of time. He did quite well at periods, but obviously quite easily got beaten by Makhachev. But would Dariush get easily beaten by Makhachev? Yes, of course he would. So, I don't think there's much in that. Moicano very good on the feet, also good when needed on the ground, which is a positive. Can switch it up, especially with rear naked chokes. Dariush a lot less accomplished on the ground. I think on the feet, Moicano will do well, and Dariush will get hurt. It will then move. It will be difficult for him to do anything and defend on the ground. I think this could be a stand-up fight up to a point where Moicano drops him, Moicano gets on top, and he's injured enough to get the ground and pound off in the fight. And I've got Moicano TKO, and if I had to say it, he may go down from strikes, type thing, but it'll be ground and pound that does it for him after a knockdown. But it'll be a TKO either way. I think Moicano's just got it. I think he's, top 5 in that division. I think he's very good, and I think he's going to show it in this fight. So, Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. Onto the co-main event for the flyweight title. Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. I think this fight shows, the UFC making this fight shows what a dominant champion Pantoja is. To be fighting Kai Kara-France, who's literally got 1 win in his last 3 fights. He's lost 2. Last fight he won but straight after 2 losses, he wins 1 and gets the championship fight is crazy. But the reason for that is, and everyone knows it, is because Pantoja is so dominant. He's beaten everyone in division that you could think. And if not dominantly, he sometimes beats some of the best in the division more than once, twice, 3 times even. I think he's too dominant, Pantoja, on the ground. I think he overall better on the feet as well. Look, I think Kai Kara-France could do something on the feet. I think he will. But I think Pantoja just mixes it up better. I think Pantoja just knows the key thing, and Kai Kara-France knows it coming into this fight as well. On the ground, Pantoja will beat you quite quickly. You cannot allow the takedown. And Kai Kara-France will be nervous about that. He will be thinking, I cannot allow a takedown. I'll be throwing less kicks. I'll be throwing less out there punches to stop Pantoja from trying to take me down. And to be honest, there's not much to say about this fight. I think Pantoja gets him. I think he might catch him on the feet, punch him on the feet, and goes, oh, wait a second, my hands go up. Takedown goes in, gets the takedown, and I think you'll see the difference between Pantoja as champion and how this fight has been made, where in every other division, to be honest, someone coming off 1 win out of the last 3 would not get a title shot. But in this division it happens, and I think Pantoja absolutely dominates him in the first round. I don't think it goes past the first round. I think Pantoja is just literally going to get him down and submit him or TKO him on the ground. I think it's a submission. But I think we've really got to think, we, as in fans, but more the UFC have got to think who are we going to get into the flyweight division to sort of go against this guy. He's beaten everyone. He's beaten everyone a note. We're starting to give people who've got 2 losses out of the last 3 a title shot. It becomes a right old problem when what do we do next? Where do we go? Because I think there's a right problem with where they're going in the future with the flyweight division after this. Because Pantoja's still got time. He's not looking to, from what I know, not looking to retire yet. So there needs to be fights for him. You're paying him probably a good lot of money as champion and being such a dominant champion. There needs to be a key thing of there needs to be people with names coming through that division. And I don't really see it at the minute, and it's a big problem with the UFC at the minute with that division. But that's for another day. I think Pantoja wins very easily. I think round 1, round 2 easily. You see the domination from Pantoja versus I wouldn't even consider a normal championship contender. You wouldn't give it to him in any other division this fight, but you do in flyweight because it's so sparse of talent who haven't already been beaten by Pantoja. So big problem for the UFC, but I think Pantoja gets this done quite quickly. On to the last fight and main event of the card. In lightweight division for the championship, Oliveira versus Topuria. 5-inch reach advantage for Oliveira. I think that's big for the weight class, of course. Like I just said earlier with Royval, he had 4.5. This is 5. Big. That's a big reach advantage. But do I think in this fight that actually makes the ounce of difference? No, I don't think it does. I think Topuria has coped with reach advantage differences in his career, and also clearly in the gym he will have. And he's more comfortable at lightweight. He's went down to fight the guys. He's beat Volk. He's beat Max Holloway. Volk did well in his first fights against Makhachev. I think he came back too early and quickly against Makhachev the second time and got beaten quite quickly. But does Topuria have the skills to fight at lightweight? Of course he does. That's clear. But against Oliveira, who's one of the top in the division, does he have the ability to go, look, that reach advantage is massive. Can I get past it? And I think he does. I'm betting Topuria does this, and it makes I'm hoping a likely Makhachev super fight with Topuria at lightweight in the future. I think he's just too good. I think Oliveira's too happy to go to the ground. I think Topuria's too good on the ground. I think once Topuria gets one of them power shots off, knocks down Oliveira, Oliveira's going to stay on his back at the detriment of himself. Topuria's too good. He's going to stay on top. And he's going to win rounds. He's going to get punches off on the ground even to get the finish. I think he's just too good. I think Topuria, he beat Volkanovski, in such a way that made me think that actually he's going to be a tough challenge even for Makhachev, who's easily beat most of these guys in this division. You're talking Oliveira, Gaethje, Poirier, all these bigger guys. I think Topuria is the guy who may actually give a challenge to Makhachev. It's a super fight. It's a big fight for both of them. But look, I think also Oliveira took Michael Chandler to decision, which isn't a great result. I think that's terrible. Again, now to go against the Topuria, I think that's terrible. Topuria has only shown great wins against great fighters, and I think that's what you have to go off. Has he got the ability? Yes, of course he has. And is Oliveira's ability diminishing? I think so. Going to decisions with these type of guys like Chandler and things doesn't help him. I think he is diminishing. I think it shows that he's diminishing, and I think Topuria gets this done. I think he gets it done by KO TKO. I think that could be because he may knock him out straight on the feet, which is unlikely. I think he actually gets the punch off. Oliveira stays on the ground, and Topuria goes, "Oh, thank you very much." Knocks him out on the ground and pound afterwards. After Oliveira is very happy to go back on his back, trying to do something. I think Topuria is too good to allow that to stop him. So please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know your favourite fight and who you think is going to win in this main card and main event. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.